Let's see. Setting up. Is that... Wait, what? Smart detection. No. Minimize to dock. Oh, okay. No, over there. Let's see what else. Okay then. Widget is not available on this channel. Move to grid. No, what the heck? Okay, that's better. Though I suppose I don't really need my thing to be that big. Just need to see that it's live. Moderator help and feedback? What? Okay. Back to working on this. Oh, I wonder. Navigate to the Tools menu and select Scripts. Click the plus icon. Okay. Configure the text source. In the Scripts properties, set the name of the text source where the timer will be displayed. Customize durations messages. Enter your desired focus, short break, and long break durations in minutes. Customize the display messages according to your preference. Start the timer. Use the start timer button to begin the countdown. Okay, pause timer. To pause the countdown whenever you need. Test the script in a non-live environment to ensure it's configured to your liking. Oh, that's a tip. Okay. Download. And where is my OBS located? Well, it's Streamlabs OBS, and I thought I got rid of that. Let's see, properties, where do you open? OBS Studio bin. Okay. What? Pomodoro, there we go. Continue. Okay. Where do I add scripts? Is it tools? Yeah. Okay. Paste. Close. Now, I believe we add in here is it a text source? No. What was it? Script plus menu, scripts plus icon to browse. Location, select file, add. Okay. Configure text source. Set the name of the text source where the timer will be displayed. Oh, I see. Pomodoro. Okay. Select font. Want something kind of sci-fi-ish. But I can't really see the sample very well. Oh, because it was being written so freaking huge. Okay. Let's see. You had me at sci-fi. I'm a huge space nerd. Hello. Welcome, Blueberry Bean. Yeah, I'm trying to set up a Pomodoro timer. Been trying to do more co-work stuff with my writing. Let's see. Well, that looks kind of cool, but not really sci-fi. And how have you been today? Awesome. Yeah, main writing project I've been writing on lately has been... Ooh, let's try that one. Wait. Oh, that made it really tiny to the point of not being visible. Gee, thanks. Maybe that's why the font size was set to 255. No, wrong thing. One. What? Where is it? The text does not seem to be visible. Working my own sci-fi project myself. It's reached 700 words thus far. Awesome. Let's see. What kind of project are you intending with it? No, it's still not visible. Ooh, one maybe. No, that's coming through as just big boxes. Never mind. Sort of a dialogue practice side story with the main story still in its world building paint throwing phase. Okay, I get you. Well, I guess that'll have to do if I can get it to actually show the frick up. Why has it become so huge? Oh my goodness. I can't even scroll to the end of it. Transform. Fit to screen. There we go. Whoop. I've also just realized that I don't have my avatar. Let's turn on my avatar. Oh no, that version of the avatar doesn't look good on this background. Use VC face instead. Bum 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 ba da da, ba dum ba dum ba dum ba dum ba da da. Ba-da-dum, 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 bum, bum. Bum, 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 ba-da-dum, ba-dum, da-dum, da-dum, ba-dum, ba-da-dum, dum, 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 da-da-dum, dum, 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 da-da-dum, dum, dum. Right, I need to turn off that. Okay. There we go. That's looking a lot better. So, a project I've been working on lately is my Homestuck. Well, I call it a personal Homestuck collision. It's a bunch of my own characters from other stories and my own past, all going into a Homestuck style game session. And been writing up a bunch of the abilities. This particular document is for what aspect ink can be used for, especially when you make it into a paint format instead of just regular writing ink. Do they not have a Rage player? Where? Thought I had somebody who had Rage, no? Yes. Ah, but he doesn't come in until much later. Okay, yep, that's fine. They would have made that document before finding somebody with rage. Right. That's going to be a sub thing. Oh wait, no, that's not a sub thing. That's its own heading. Oh wait, I also don't have my music going. Jeez. There we go. And this music is provided to us by The Last Seahorse, who is another great VTuber. They have provided their music free for use by people on Twitch. But that might be a little too loud to concentrate. Okay. So... let's back up. Need to kind of refresh my memory on where I was with this document. Because what reminded me that I needed to work more on this document is... oh, jeez. Love it, Seahorse, but that's a little too active to have it good volume. Let's see. I had a player use Mind Ink to, an object coded in Mind Ink, you can't forget this object. Once you know about it, you know until it or the paint is destroyed. Especially useful as ink, as you can write something and anyone who sees it remembers it perfectly. Need to remember a speech or song? Print it in Mind Ink, and you won't forget it. Carapacians and consorts. Write something in Mind Ink. Write something in Mind Paint and show it to a simple-minded NPCs, and they will interpret the words the best they can and try to incorporate it into their behavior. You can get them to do a lot this way, but they are easily confused. Be careful leaving mind writing around. It can make them do some really weird stuff, and the only way to get them to stop is to destroy the writing or make them respawn, if you can. Actually, I think I want to make all of these headings into sub-headings. I think that'll end up looking better when it's on AO3. And part of me is wondering if I'm just doing this to pass time rather than think actively about anything. It's probably partially true. Wait, what was Peachy gonna say here? Mist. I like mist paint, but it's hard to work with. Any significant force or effect applied to a mist-painted object will also apply a few meters further away in the same direction, depending on how many thresholds you broke through. Takes a bit to trigger those thresholds, so I alchemized a pair of brass knuckles, painted them, and now I can punch underlings from 3 to 4 meters away. Most our players move too fast to use these. They keep triggering the thresholds in random directions. But I'm physically the weakest on the team. As long as I put them back in my Sylladex before activating my Scamper Wave up, or someone tries to move me, it's all good. And I keep my knuckles stowed around Claire and Dee Dee. Edit. Mist and Void players. Edit. Our Mist and Void players. Also, Claire doesn't actually unravel mist paint, but it does make her feel sick. Or doesn't automatically unravel mist paint. Let's see. So what was Bombastic Ghast gonna say? Had something to say about mist paint. Those kids are being loud outside the window. I can't remember. So we will just remove it and move on. Let's see, seed paint, life paint. So the life, that's the one they made the healing thermoses with. We made super durable thermoses, made a solid mold of the inside, painted the mold with life. This can hold about 8 life fruit worth of gel and keeps us from sucking ourselves dry. The life paint can't drain item durability, so the thermos is safe. Painting the thermos with blood gives it health equal to its durability, which the life paint can tap into and can repair if provided more gel. Between the gel storage and the extra health, a single false life thermos can fully heal all but our buffest players, and drinking the gel is way faster than eating that much food. But you don't get the taste and texture and aromas of it. Anyway, useful but not a massive game changer. We have other out-of-game healing options, but these are a bit easier to manage. And a bit easier can mean the difference between life and death in this game. Not sure if it has saved anyone that bad, but I can see situations we've been in that might have devolved if it had taken 10 seconds more to be at only half the health these gave us. Oh, and it doesn't replenish the invisible, non-existent hunger bar as much as all that food would. Doesn't matter how much gel you drink, this counts more like drinking a smoothie. It will keep hunger at bay a little, but it's no meal, and you can't get the full, satiated, or good home cooking buffs from it. It effectively deletes any buffs or debuffs a food would give. Nice way to put spoiled food to some use, but they won't make much gel. This strikes me as the most implausible of her suggestions, but we will test it. We use Life Ink to create scroll bandages that fix injuries when wrapped around the damaged area. Only the scribe can write them, but like most scribe creations, anyone can apply them. Doom. Doom paint acts like flypaper, sorta. No, I guess that would be star. Doom is more a slowing than a pulling. Anything near Doom paint gets slowed by 50%. Anything touching a Doom painted object is slowed by 80%. In either case, nothing material can travel near Doom paint faster than 50 kilometers per hour. That makes projectile guns basically useless, and we've used it to level the playing field on some super speedster underling lieutenants. Faster than a speeding bullet? Not anymore, you ain't. Downside, it's also like a magnet for attacks. Always deploy multiple Doom-painted objects at a time. Some of them are going to be destroyed in the most random ways. Out of combat times, anything painted in Doom will eventually dissolve, like in weeks, even if it's capture logged. Even if it's capture logged, which normally causes timers. Let's see, breath. Would not have expected this result. Passing near breath-painted objects cleanses you. Like, what? You get clean. What does that have to do with breath? Bad breath? But it's not just clean, it's like super clean, spiffy down inside. Anything short of a scripted disease or poison event, or one of the big disorders or really complicated parasites, just gone. Any debuffs short of Doom itself, gone. It doesn't fix a broken bone, but it will make it not a problem for now. You can walk on it without causing additional injury if you splint it with breath tape. Let's see. Self. Anything you do to a self-painted object after it dries, you do to yourself. Can't think of any wholesome uses for this. It's only loot or combat. Trick an enemy into attacking self-paint. Enough said. Let's see. Sound. Records anything it hears until the paint is full, then plays it back while still recording. Small objects quickly create feedback, unable to store any pauses before hearing what it sent back out again. Larger objects, painted by painted surface area, can store a lot more before spitting it back out, so while they can eventually become feedback loops, they take longer to build up. Putting them in an open area with few echoes helps prevent the looping too. We have one room in silent isolation that takes 21 days before we hear it repeat a specific clapping pattern. We are testing how many repeats it takes before the echo it captures is too quiet to make out the pattern. Our scribe mainly uses sounding to silence things, but she's done some repeated messages as well, or distractions. But this paint sounds useless. Another idea in here led her to create sonic landmines. Enemy steps on it and scratches out the line that keeps it from exploding, so it does. My scribe wants me to remind players not to do that, because you will hurt your scribe's ARC if you use their stuff to cause endings. Flesh. The ultimate duct tape. Flesh paint, put on two surfaces, allow to dry, then put together. Will fuse them. Allowed to dry. Two-part epoxy, eat shit. If the things are alive, it even forces their veins and nerves to work together. Neither thing is harmed. It always finds a way to make them work. But working doesn't mean it can do what you wanted it to, or in any way you want it. It just means they won't kill each other just by the fact they are connected. It can still twitch and kill itself. a bladed monstrosity can still twitch and kill itself. We have a small tree that gives birth to 3 to 5 lab rats every couple months now. That just ain't right. I thought our thief of flesh was terrifying enough, but this... Ploy. Again, not much here. Any surface you paint becomes a perfect mirror. I know our tech and Smith are excited. Something about lasers. Whatever. I looked into this. They made a nuclear fusion reactor. Flux. Not sure how they got this one. I don't think we have any Flux players. Flux paint constantly oozes something the game calls metaphlogiston. This stuff is attracted to things that can shake up the narrative, which usually means it covers any nearby player. It takes a while to get it all off you. Don't really have any use for this. I think I did give them somebody with Flux, but it might not be until later that they know. Yeah, heliotrope. None of the regular players have Flux. Okay. Sometimes the ooze turns into candy corn or not sprinkles, it's sparkles. What's the term? Also, I just realized a problem with this Pomodoro timer I have. It doesn't make any sound, so I am unlikely to notice when it's break time. Sparkles, sprinkles, speckle, no. What are they called? Glitter. She wouldn't word it that way. See, usually means it covers any nearby player. Yeah, unfortunately, this particular Pomodoro plugin is not going to work in for me. tools or scripts, delete. Okay. Copy link text. New browser. Create new. Pomodoro. Three hundred by 200. Listen. Nope. Other way around. What? Solvers. Paste the URL input to this. Change width to 300. That is not giving me viewable. No. Browser. Pomodoro. Paste. Is this gonna have sound though? Let's test whether or not this has sound. Oops. There's interact. No. No. Change this to 1 minute just for test. 1 minute. New window should pop up, and by clicking on the timer, you should start 10-second countdown. After those 10 seconds, timer starts. No. It does not seem to be working. Well, that seems to be a waste. Remove. When is this from? Last year. Issues. Hello? Billy Norvacker Jataco Soul 70. Thanks for the follow. So what was it? How did I want to word this? Oh. I can set the timer, but I can't get it to actually. Okay. So, does this one have sound?
Of a break and focus. So I googled for it and I saw some like cool widgets. So I found out this particular website, Stream DPS, and I saw that they have some pretty cool timers and widgets, like in different fonts and skins. But like this was kind of like a timer. I did not search a lot, but I did not find much about like a Pomodoro type of timer where I have a focus session and then like break session, and then I can like pause, play, and like those kind of things. So I found out one repository on GitHub, this Pomodoro countdown. So it has one widget like this, which you can like use it in the OBS Studio. So what all you have to do is to clone this repository or download the link like zip file, and then create a browser source in your OBS Studio, and then link that countdown HTML file as a local file address, and then you can like use this timer, so you can interact with this timer and play, pause, and
but
like
does it have sound?
Change the timer between focus session and break session. But few things I saw that like I needed more customizability is that it has only two time settings. One is 50 minutes and the other is 25 minutes. So like you cannot put any time apart from these. And the other thing was that you have to clone this repository, download it on your local machine, and then put it as a source file. So I needed some more customizability regarding the time as well as
Okay.
like easy to use. So what I did, I cloned this repository on my own GitHub account and customized it so that you will have your own custom break as well as focus timer as well as site over here. So you can also access this website. This visit on this particular website. So you can see that once I visited, then it asked me for the focus time.
Yeah.
So suppose there's 50
Like
minutes of
that.
although it is also easier to use, but repository. So yeah, that is it. That it is.
Hello everybody. Welcome back to a brand new settings. And last but not least, we can see our Tomo Study profile. So when I actually get a Tomo Study profile here linked, you'll see more information on that Tomo Study profile. I'll do that towards the end of the video though, just so I can show off the timer customization. So the next one we have is import settings. So you can import a settings file, and essentially your timer will be set up that way. We can export a settings file, which does exactly the opposite. You can send a settings file anywhere you want, and that reset settings will bring your settings back to what you see right here. So yeah, let's go to customize. So under the customize options at the moment, we have sound options, which kind of gives us the ability to change our end sound. I don't have background sounds at the moment. I might add that in the future in case somebody doesn't want to have like rain sounds playing. This app could automatically play rain sounds for you. I probably will do that, maybe like fireplace sounds or lo-fi sounds or something like that. But at the moment we just have this these sounds here. So this is our selection here, and then we can play the sound here. On my computer, for some reason, this is supposed to be a play button. You'll probably see that if you have an updated version of Windows. But here we go. That's the one I want.
Okay,
and
that sounds pretty good.
You know, we have other ones too. These are all the ones from Tomo Study at the moment, but I plan to add more in the future for that. So now we'll move on to time appearance options. This is probably going to be...
Okay. Set up Tomo Study. I have Windows 10. Good. Java runtime environment. Download. Tomo Study exe. Okay. Where did that go then? Probably downloads. Yeah. Let's pull that to the desktop. Okay, what the heck? This is more game than I was expecting. Ah, the focus, that's what I'm looking for. Hello, love.
It's a little tiring.
Okay. Settings. Well, I'd like to hear the alarm first. Discord RPC? What? RPC. Not really telling me what the heck RCP is. Discord RPC is a library for interfacing your game with a locally running Discord desktop client. Okay. Thanks for leaving the lurk, Desdemona. Yeah, things have definitely changed in his programs since he made this video. He made other videos maybe about it?
Hey everyone, thanks for joining me on the
Continuously transform your life with Kaizen. Okay. Well, I do not know what is up with that. Peace calms the mind. You can't get yourself to take any hostile action near Peace Paint unless you are suffering from megalovania or something like that. You can still defend, you just can't attack. Not even with angry ideas. I hate not being able to be mad at something that deserves it, and this is one of those things. Again, never seen this one in... Hi.
You know, can't be angry at me either.
You got to use a chainsaw today?
Oh, yes, I did. So, until my arm started cramping.
Ah.
I put the charred. There we go. Yeah.
Joy. And this makes everything funny. You see it on something, you think that object is just the funniest thing ever, even if it's stupid. Hell's
Funniest thing ever.
more if it is stupid. You get near this stuff and everything is funny. This stuff is dangerous. Seriously, if you want to use this for a prank, don't use more than a few centimeters of coverage. Even that will cause a laughingstock. More will probably get your team killed. If they don't die from laughter first, it makes a serotonin loop that will cause major depression once you get away from the paint. Real big sads. Lock up all the knives level sads. This paint has caused tons of doomed timelines. This does not work against NPCs. They find it funny, sure, then they go about their day. Not worth using as distractions unless you are a Doom or a Joy player, because then you are immune to its effects. Tip, if you aren't sure, keep some peace and breath painted objects nearby to quickly calm and cleanse the situation. I've been trying to set up a productivity timer, but all of the timers I'm finding don't have sound, so I would completely miss the fact that they had even ended.
Is that useful?
Yeah.
It's off.
Sand. Dangerous. Direct transmutation. Almost anything you paint with sand will turn it into either sand or glass once it dries, which takes the longest of any paint. If you wash it off at any point before it dries, the object is unaffected. We think the paint takes longer to dry based on how much damage it will be doing. My scrying on this paint keeps lying, so it's really hard to be sure, but tests so far support that hypothesis. Checks out with what we know. Our scribe normally has to just keep writing more and more until it can deal enough damage for the conversion. Like insta-kill abilities, if you can't deal enough damage for the task, it fizzles. When she starts, she does get an idea of how long she's going to have to write. If we can even make these paints, this would leave her free to help defend while we wait. Though, with all the scrolls she loads us up with, it's almost like she's in every battle. Dreams. Pretty straightforward. Touching dream-painted objects puts you to sleep. Being asleep near these objects really inspires your dream self. Same works the other way. We put a few of these in our dream spires to inspire our waking selves. It's not a huge effect, but it helps. Warning, don't visit your own dream self near one of these. It causes a nasty feedback loop. Both of yourself will be puking till one of you can get away. Same happens if a dream player comes near one at all. Let's see. Don't have a dream player, but we looked into some dream ink. When directed with writing, it is very versatile. Write well enough, and it can do almost anything, like being able to write a wish for a genie to fulfill. A genie who really gets off on playing with linguistic bullshit. So be careful with your wishes. And remember that, like rain abilities, Dream Ink can never do the same crazy thing twice. Rage. Don't know, we don't have a rage player. Can't speak to how it works as paint yet, but our scribe spilled some rage ink, which we think would be the same effect. Without the written instructions, the spilled ink just angered the fuck out of everyone and everything in the area. Eventually the ink dried up. I'm betting that wouldn't happen if we could make rage paint. Normally our scribe uses rage ink to write specific targets and reasons for our enemies to go aggro on our designated tank for the fight. Light. Very useful for us. Probably less useful for you guys. Light makes the painted object glow. That's it. Bye. Joking. It does glow, but it's also a fate, luck, ability target beacon. With all the misdirection we have, we can never be sure who will be targeted. By painting an object each of us wears with light, and remembering who has which item, we can use it as a targeting condition in addition to the player themselves. To use the beacon, you target with a thought that so-and-so with the bead necklace beacon. It first checks that you are targeting a player, then who the player is. This is where the misdirect chance of 20% comes in to target the missed player. Once it targets the misty player, then it rolls again to see who it actually hits. There is a 1 in n plus or minus 1 to still target the player you intended. N being the number of players on your team, plus or minus is because the missed player can focus to add an extra instance of themselves or remove any one other player from the list. Then it checks if they are wearing the light painted bead necklace. If your targeting got misdirected to another player, the beacon won't match, so it will retry from the misdirect until it finds the right pairing. This can cause a small delay depending on how many misdirects it has to try before hitting the right player, but it's way better than triggering on the wrong target. Takes extra long if someone else is wearing that beacon, because it won't trigger until the player wearing that beacon gets mistargeted as the named player, which can take up to an hour with how many players we have. That's a whole nother can of variables I don't want to unpack. It's also helped us keep our prophecies less garbled, and provides a very minor anti-doom buff. Don't count on it, it helps, but not much. None of this works if the beacon is in your codex. It must be worn on your person. Only put it away when dealing with the void player so they don't accidentally unravel it. Mist doesn't seem to affect this one, but trying to target our mist player even with a beacon almost always has a delay. I think that's all of them. All but one. Mine. And I love it. She forgot heart, but I don't have a heart player to have our scribe find out what this does. I think I did add a heart player. Yes, they now have a waste of heart. So I probably should write up something with heart. Let's see. I don't have a heart player to have our scribe find out what this would do. Looking at her other files, I also see she didn't have a heart player in her massive session, despite having 30 plus players, so I can see how she'd miss it. Did I miss any others? Okay, so I need to add heart. What should heart do? What does heart do normally? Heart. The inner nature of things. Their identities or soul. The heart thing. The soul. These guys have it rough. Heart players and rage players walk a path marked by fragmented identity. But don't worry, they aren't going bonkers. Well, not any more than any other sBrier player. However, their sense of self is in for a tough ride. So act in consequences. Or a though ride, so act in consequences. These guys have the best emotional support abilities. Scratch their back, they'll scratch yours later. Huge warning, the heart thing. Okay, just for the record, this ability creeps me out. Alright, let's just get this over with. The aspect of heart deals with identities, or souls. They have a lot of support tricks to help people come to terms with internal conflicts. But their signature ability is to manipulate the core of things. It works like this. The heart player take an object and they plunge their hand through it as if it was made out of water with a lot of surface tension. They then pull out the heart of it. It's like a pulsating ball of shininess. They can manipulate it and put it back, like reprogramming. So far, it seems vanilla, right? That's because you don't yet know yet how it works offensively. It works on people. The signature offense move of heart players is to plunge their hand into their own heart and rip a shiny thing out of it. Then they change the identity of that thing. From feelings to weaponry. It creates some pretty OP weapons, actually, if you get past the fact that it glows pink. They're made of solidified feelings or whatever. They dissolve after an attack, which is generally enough to kill a boss. Then they turn into light, which returns in people's chest. That sounds rad, right? Holy shit, no it isn't. My god, it's so disturbing to watch them rip out their heart. Like seriously, hands do not go into chests. You know the worst thing? It's when they support you with this ability. I had this heart player once. We were in a big fight and suddenly he was like, hey, think of something really happy. I'm like, huh? And then he plunged his clawy hand into my torso. I was like, get it out! And it was like, nuh-uh. Then he ripped out my chest light thing without even buying me a drink. He was like, here, use this, while handing me some glorious magical schoolgirl weaponry. Damn, I am not cool with the heart thing unless you warn me in advance. Actually, you know what? Fuck that. I'm not cool with the heart thing in any circumstances whatsoever. I don't want any hands to go through my torso. It is strictly no hand penetration territory. This one time I rolled the heart aspect in a session, I didn't use my signature ability for the whole damn game. Everybody was yelling at me. I don't care. Berserk trigger. Heart players don't really go berserk. When they channel their aspect too much, they usually end up with an identity crisis. I mean, wow, that sucks. But it sure beats inflicting mass destruction if you ask me. In fact, despite looking unusual, heart abilities are pretty safe. I've only heard of one guy that attempted mass destruction with the aspect of heart. Apparently, an other had slipped inside his session and made it unwinnable. The heart player tried to rip the shininess out of the core of the Prospect Moon to make a weapon out of it. I'm pretty sure that's a terrible idea, and I'm pretty sure he died. See, shades of Athena in the heart thing. The narrator is getting more emotional here. Bit neat how they go from the neutral information chatter to more of a recognizable person. Let's see, it would be sort of cool if the last timestamp post is them getting their universe at last, or finding something better than tolerable after a life in the game. Oh god, the heart thing. Fuck this power. No, seriously, just fuck this power. GG2G talked at length about the creepiness factor of this goddamn shitstorm, but that's just the tip of the iceberg. And I don't blame them in the least for refusing point blank to go anywhere near this. Fuck, I don't have a word that comes anywhere near describing the abomination I think this power is. So remember how GG2G mentioned that heart players can rip out something core, dick around with it, then stick it back in? This aspect of the ability is one of the biggest fucking menaces you can end up facing if your heart player goes batshit insane. Or even if they're just terminally stupid, or have zero respect for what it is they can actually do with this portable cano ass fuckery they carry about built in. I had this one session where our heart player managed to rustle up a loose queen because they went full-blown Questance Lament. Those heart cores or whatever they are, they're linked to one's identity to the point where, after having her heart removed, modified, and jammed back in, the Black Queen no longer registered as the Black Queen, so far as sBrier's spectacularly shitty scripts were concerned. She and her Lady Knight, heart friend, decided to have a grand old time carving up our session before we managed to get everything under control. Yeah, cores and identity, that is some severely messed up shit right there. There was this other session where our heart player got a face full of angel corruption and decided we all needed to get on the salvation train, whether we wanted to or not. He got the drop on about half our team, myself included, and I'll tell you right now that there is nothing more deeply disturbing than watching someone mess around with the essence of your being and not giving two shits about the whole affair, because that was one of the first things he changed. Hell, I was even pleased about it. I was on the motherfucking salvation train. What more could I want? It speaks for the sheer goddamn brokenness of this ability when I say that one of the happiest memories I have is of that lunatic driving a corruption-charged stake into my face. If our time and space players hadn't busted in and gotten us out to our quest beds, we'd have all died in rapture. I sincerely hope I never ever run into the heart player that's fallen prey to corruption by the others. Gotta say though, I'm really hoping the article on corruption in general will hit my timestamp soon. I need to know just how far that shit reaches because frankly, I've been acting kind of weird ever since the salvation incident. Well, weirder than normal. It's just, whenever you finish a session, everything you have gets rolled back, even personal growth. I mean, there's new game plus elements to the knowledge you gain, but that doesn't exempt us from having to slug through all those denizen quests every new session. It's like sBrier has this capture of exactly what we were when we fired sBrier up for the first time that it sets us back to whenever we start a new session. Except now I'm starting sessions missing things. Quirks in my typing, accents in my speech, little ticks that I don't notice unless someone points them out to me, they're all gone. I didn't notice until I ended up running a session with a couple of guys I'd played with before. It wasn't until I cornered one of them and pretty much demanded she explain to me why our Hope player was sticking to me like a friggin' barnacle that she told me that there was something off with the way I was acting. I'm starting to wonder whether the shit Mr. Salvation McStabby Face did to me is still there, and sBrier's just written over it. It's like someone's drawn graffiti all over a whitewashed wall, and then someone else has whitewashed the graffiti. It almost looks the same as before, but there are little details here and there that got wiped out when they applied that new coat of paint. Anyway, thanks a ton for writing this guide. Saved my life a ludicrous amounts of time. Hopefully continue to do so for people all over Other people stuck in our merry little instance of purgatory. Let's see. Oh, bestie, saccharine doppelgangers. Okay. See, hi, I'm a native harp player, and I believe I can answer questions if you ain't dead anyway. So first, corruption is reset on a new game, thank God. Second, I'm not very sure how a restart works, honestly. I've had a lot of time in this session to learn a lot of stuff, but it's going to take yet more time to clear this fucked up session. Anyway, I'm disinclined to believe it works exactly how you described, as I've heard from multiple accounts that the quests change depending on what you've gone through, so it's not being sent back to a perfect capture. I have a theory that whatever they did to you, they still had enough presence of mind to mostly tack it on to the maturity shit that the game tacks on. However, mostly is the keyword, so something went fucking weird considering the symptoms. Using the graffiti metaphor, it's more apt to say that a billboard was tacked on than it was graffitied over. Then the billboard was removed. Some of the outline of the graffiti is still there, but it's incomplete and far from its original purpose. Meaning whatever is odd is unintended, and likely not too serious given the information. To be sure, I'd inspect my shiny, but I can understand you likely wouldn't do so. Hope things fit my assessment, though expect the worst. This hell ain't exactly kind. Oh yeah, 8 years separation between posts. That'd do that. Let's see. Right, the Temple of Doom scene with the hand in the heart. Okay. Jesus fucking Christ, way to give me a heart attack. I am basically blushing all over. Thanks. Just fuck. You are simply the best, thanks. Let me trip over my emotions a little more before I become coherent again. Magical girl admin. Okay, so what does this tell us that heart ink should do? I think rather than in here, let's check out what heart aspect home stuff. Those bound to the aspect of heart are very concerned with their favorite subject themselves. Wouldn't be a stretch to call them self-obsessed, but not necessarily in a negative way. Simply want to understand the one thing we all are stuck with for our entire lives, i.e. our own minds. Forging an identity is extremely important for the heartbound, and every decision and action goes toward building a coherent narrative of their own story. That isn't to say heartbound don't care deeply for their friends and allies. They just have a tendency to assume that everyone is as concerned with identity as they are. They are excellent at putting on and taking off masks as the situation calls for them. At their best, they are competent, imaginative, and steady. At their worst, they can be overbearing, inflexible, and cold. Calliope has stated that the heart aspect is comparable to soul or essence of being. Further shown when Jake's imaginary version of Dirk, a prince of heart, attempts to extract Arania's soul from her body. Caliborn's masterpiece when he depicts Dick using his powers to trap him, part of Gamzee and Aquarius Bright in Little Cow. Calliope also says that this aspect may cause splintering in the hero's personality. I splinter, but I don't break. Could have just been a figure of speech. Heart is associated with emotions and intuition, may also be associated with motivations and inclinations to do things. Contrasts with mind's association with action, and heart has been speculated to be the antithesis of mind. Furthering this, heart may also have something to do with feelings, including feelings of attraction. Would explain why Nepeta and Millen, both heroes of heart, are interested in shipping. Also fits into the theme of splintered selves. Okay. I've got an idea for Heart Ink now. I know it's cliche, but who'd have guessed? Heart Ink makes you let's say desirous of anyone else. Oh, no. you can totally fight it. Not forcing you to make out with them, but it does make those thoughts harder to shake. And lowers your inhibition. If no one else is around, then you start thinking those things about yourself. Not heart ink, heart paint. Don't get this on yourself. Or the effect is way stronger. Doesn't do much against most enemies. But if you can get it on some of the smarter ones without anyone else nearby, you can get them totally distracted. Without any players nearby. Great for disrupting rollout. Our scribe uses hard ink to rewrite internal aspects of a object or being. Like a more precise but less powerful version of the heart player using the tiny. But this heart paint does remind me that she was able to use the ink to influence our relationships. Before she realized fucking wrong. Many sessions ago. Okay. That's good. Sight. Sight paint makes any object invisible, at least from any side you are seeing the paint. I painted my armor so people think I'm in regular clothes. Painted the blade of some of my weapons so they don't know how long my reach is. We don't use windows anymore, we just paint portions of a wall invisible from the inside. I mentioned ploy paint before with lasers. Our smith made a chamber with ploy on all the insides, used sight on the outside, and shot a laser in. It's been bouncing around in there for months. Again, I don't get it, but it makes Holmgang Hero happy, so I'll leave her to it. Interactions. First off, because these paints are applied externally, most of them work fine with objects imbued directly by a player. Second, they don't directly interact. If you paint over an aspect paint, you destroy the old aspect paint without releasing it, regardless of what paint you use. Okay, yeah. Scribe confirms any ink, even ordinary ink, can be used to cross out and negate her aspect writing, or even non-aspect ability writing. This gave her some ideas for clause striking. If it works, she thinks she can give us some control on the scrolls by striking out specific passages. Paint mixing. They don't actually mix. The game is hard-coded against hybrid paints. Trying to mix them makes other aspects. It's semi-random, but the outputs have always been mist, void, space, or rain. Our scribe did this with her inks. Oh. Same result. Once got Dream, but we haven't been able to replicate the effect. Dream is useful, so we save that vial of wishes for emergencies. So, I guess if you don't have some of those players in your team, you can mix to get them. Advanced space painting. Pedantic pundit. He's their thief of self with pre-existing aura sight ability. And I saw some interesting code in the space paint as it dried. It was checking for other paints nearby. Incomplete portals also checked anytime other paints were added. Finding: you can encode space paint portals to link up even if they aren't aimed at each other. Make sure the two prospective portals are touching the same other paint aspects in about the same quantities. Making too many of these means you have to be even more precise to avoid them getting confused. If it's flickering, you could get chopped in half, or worse. If you are dense enough, the subatomic chop can cause a nuclear detonation on both or all sides of the portal. Speculation time. This seems way too convenient an item creation method to abuse. Can't think of how this could have been left in the game for general use discovery. Feels way more on par with an entire class spec. I'll cut the rest of her speculations. She figured out she was barking up the wrong snowman past this point. I'll repeat, she was right on that last sentence. It is a class level thing. Specifically, this is a subset of scribe abilities. They glitched their entire party into being able to use it, but almost every aspect available, then discovered a very basic version that might have a few overlooked uses for any of you proper scribes out there. They eventually figure that out. Fortunately, I haven't found the instructions to make this variation yet, but my scribe is working on it herself. I hope a tech or smith isn't required. Speaking of, what's a tech? What are the breaker classes? In another doc, she calls herself a rogue, but I've never heard of that class either. Like, that should be some super corrupt shit. But she sounds sane. I don't know, man. My scribe says she's heard of tech before. It's the active counter to scribes. She's looking into the others. If she finds anything, she'll write a guide about it. Take it for whatever you can. And not only does she write a guide about it, but I already posted that guide. The Extended Classes Guide. So, how do I want... Can I link directly to the Extended Classes Guide before making my post? Okay. Let's go underline. Cyclic fertilization addendum. I have, in fact, written said guide. We can get rid of that. Get rid of all of that. Okay, that all is looking good there. Let's see, I didn't cover this at the beginning. What was it? Bombastic Ghast here. I was in Skynet pretty deep, double digits, when I found, surprise, surprise, something that shouldn't exist. A bunch of guides, journals from a really broken first session. They apparently had access to read our guides before first session, but couldn't post back. They also have a ton of players, none of them kids like we were, despite how messed up their session is, and how much they... Actually, it's not none of them are kids. Well, kind of. Youngest one, I think, is 14. Despite how messed up their session is, and how much they further broke it on purpose, some of the earlier stuff they wrote seemed useful. But take it with a massive grain of salt. Maybe a whole shaker of salt. Like that. Okay. Hello again, readers and replayers. It's your girl again, Pie Hater. Here, so we all know, I'm sure, how you can infuse your aspect into stuff. That's the stat you replayers call an aspect's defense rating. You shove your aspect into something to do something aspecty. Lots of freestyle potential if you learn what your aspect really is and does. Well, believe it or not, our long-running Giant Sessions Tech of V word and Smith of Fate managed to infuse every aspect on our team into potent paints, regardless of the defense rating. If you found my guides, then I'm sure you can read theirs to find out how to make the paints. But, well, because paints don't have a player directly guiding them, we weren't sure what each paint was really going to do. So I did my job as a breaker class and found their limits. Now, she later found this only works for scribes, but in her session the scribe was missed, so everyone counted as scribes for applying the paint. I confirmed some of this with my current session scribe. Drawing out my rhyme ink was a bit creepy. He normally gets it from our land beds, which is less creepy, but still, fuck this game sometimes. Ink can be used in some ways described here, but she wants to test this paint idea herself. Space. I'm not going to hold you in suspense. This is the big one everyone will want to know. It's relatively simple to use, very powerful, and a bit finicky to abuse. Put it on opposite sides of a conceptually solid item, and it makes a relatively permanent portal through it. Say, a wall or a planet. They have to be basically pointing their backs to each other, so this gets tricky over very long distances. Hell Hub. Hell is down on every player land, even if you don't have one. So, once you find out what way down your planet is from Hell, you can make a quick transit between all the planets. Aiming at specific lands on a planet is harder. No idea what she's talking about here. Each player planet is supposed to have its own Hell, and every player is supposed to have their own planet. From other writings, I get the impression her session has only 6 player planets split between them all. What the fuck? Glitch warning. These can be used by anyone but Space, Mist, and V-Paint. Space players get sick. They can still use it as a shortcut to make their own portal to get through. Keep the Mist and V player away from most paints. They just generally destabilize these effects to the point of uselessness. I mean, any aspect can mess with the paints, but these two just do. Now that the first draw is out of the way, we can talk about other paints. Then I'll get into advanced space painting at the end. Time. Since space was so useful, surely time will be too, right? Not really. Time paint has its uses, sure, but it's really just prevents decay. The things you'd notice it on are foods, and you don't want to eat paint. It's safe, but they taste awful. Our tech and Smith have lots of machines they use this on to reduce wear and tear without the side effects of the other durability paints. Of course, our tech couldn't apply it herself since they are V. Their minions couldn't do it, so they had to ask another player. This should have tipped her off sooner, that it took a player to apply the paint. Might. Speaking of durability, you can't get much more durable than something coated in might paint. It also bloats the item to 1.5 to 2.3 times its size. Unless you dip or coat the whole thing, this can cause structural problems during drying, with painted sections ripping away from unpainted sections. So make sure you can coat and dry these things evenly. And that extra size can be useful or annoying. And since you don't know exactly how much bigger, it gets hard to work into precision machinery. Blood. Bit of a doozy, this. Yes, it makes things twice as durable. It basically gives any covered surface a double hellfile, or the object equivalent. Where might sends gel viscosity stats through the roof so nothing can hurt it, these can be damaged by all the same stuff they could be, just surviving twice as much. Ew. Even when completely dry, any item painted with blood aspect will look wet and slimy. Let's see. Let's give this one... Make that one into heading 4. Split this, and make that heading 4 as well. Formatting, I forgot. Have to get rid of all of these extra carriage returns for AO3 to read it properly. Even when completely dry, any item painted with blood aspect will look wet and slimy. Attraction warning. Blood-painted items are attracted to items painted or heavily infused with other aspects. It's like its own type of gravity or magnetism, but instead of mass or current or charge or whatever, these only care about how much surface area is painted. I blood-dipped 2 pounds of feathers and time-dipped a bowling ball. Once they were within 5 feet, the ball was pulled toward the loose pile of feathers, but the feathers barely ruffled. The more surface area, the more effect, and the higher range of its effect on the smaller surface area item. We tried this on an underling farm, making walls that would slam together once we brought enough painted surfaces together. It wasn't worth the trouble of resetting, but there might be uses we haven't found. We mostly use it for making floating statues, especially mixed with the next paints. Coin. I know coin is a rare aspect, but we have so many players in our session, rare class specs are inevitable. Coin paint messes with stats. Technically, it increases value, but in a game like this, bigger numbers aren't always good. It also messes with fate luck to no end. Seriously, be careful with using coin paint on anything you intend to fight with. Could be great, could suck balls. But it's great for trade. Like, any item your cohorts will buy is rare enough. Squeezing extra value is awesome. So any of these paints will increase the price the consorts will pay by a bit. If it matches the local player's aspect, it's a bit more. And if a player gives their own like any item so any of these paints will increase the price of consorts. The consorts will pay by a bit. Pay for it by a bit. If it matches the local player's aspect, it's a bit more. And if a player gives their own secret consort an item painted in their aspect, they will just go nuts for it. Rep game through the wazoo, but that's secret rep, not land rep. If boombucks still matter to you, paint anything you are selling in coin to jack its price up 8 times. We had a few items that one player's consorts would sell and another player's consort would buy at half cost, so we had to. Eventually, the first guy were selling painted items at the increased price, but their stock reset after a couple months, or after any major land quest, and we could repeat the scam. Money didn't matter anymore, but we had our thief, rogue, and sand players do this to keep up their roleplay factors. Warning, our law player took a huge hit to his arc trying this even once. I think it could work for the right type of law player, or with the right mindset, but ours just couldn't. Weirdness. Coin paint is actually rejected by blood paint. This is where blood paint's attraction is more like magnets than gravity. Like opposite poles. This also happens with law and hope paints. All three try to bounce away from coin. Law and hope bounce away from each other, and law and hope are both attracted to blood. Law. While we're at it, law paint is... I was about to say odd, but what here isn't? Spending years in this game is messing with my sense of normal. Maybe I'm only saying that because I am near some law paint. Not sure. You can't intentionally lie while near dry law paint. Except for rain and sand players. They just don't care. And as I said, keep mist and V players away from the paint. Their presence just breaks it for everyone. They randomly unravel the binding. The aspect shoots out randomly and you have to repaint. Same thing happens if you damage the paint too much. Keep that in mind when making anything complex or delicate. You don't want a mist and V player accidentally detonating your factory in a chain reaction of aspect releases just by paying you a visit. Hope. Okay. Hope. As I said, hope and law paints repel each other. So do hope and star paints. But hope repels everything except blood-painted objects. not just painted stuff either. The effect is really local, but Hope Paint can't even get dirty because nothing can actually touch it. Once this stuff dries, it makes a frictionless field about 2 millimeters thick that takes a lot of force to overcome. Whatever is on the other side doesn't even feel the force pushing it. Non-physical effects still get through, but anything with enough mass to feel will just slide away. We made some cool slides and use it to protect monuments. Monuments. And I guess the Smith and Tech use it in some of their machines. Star. Opposite of Hope, Star Paint glows a bit and gets dirty quick, so that glow dims fast. It attracts everything in a few millimeters. That range has been harder to pin down precisely. We think it's fluctuating. It is attracted to blood paint about 1/3 further out than other paints, and this one definitely fluctuates. Hope Paint and Star Paint are repulsed and attracted, trying to maintain a distance equal to that extra attraction range I mentioned. So the more surface area the Star Paint covers, the bigger the radius of orbit's fluctuations. The bigger the Hope Paint surface area, the further out the minimum orbit. We made some cool unpowered satellites with these. Most are just decorations. A few are useful. Interesting use. Our scribe uses star ink for various levitating platforms, and our Grace of Star imbued some shoes so I could walk up walls. What's next? I mentioned Mist and V a fair bit, so why not them? Mist. I like Mist paint, but it's hard to work with. Any significant force or effect applied to a mist-painted object will also apply a few meters further away in the same direction depending on how many thresholds you broke through. It takes a bit to trigger those thresholds, so I alchemized a pair of brass knuckles, painted them, and now I can punch underlings from 3 to 4 meters away. Most our players move too fast to use these. They keep triggering the thresholds in random directions, but I'm physically the weakest on the team. So, as long as I put them back in my Siladex before activating my Scamperway buff, or someone tries to move me, it's all good. And I keep my knuckles stowed around Claire and Dee Dee. I edit our Mist and V players. Also, Claire doesn't automatically unravel Mist paint, but it does make her feel sick. V paint makes the painted object have the forgetting property of PGOs. So unless someone can see it, no one knows about it. Not even the NPCs. The object also doesn't show up in Scrying or Player Prophecies, but does show up in Skyan Prophecies. Painted a spear with this, and it's been helping us fulfill some Doom prophecies that hadn't been making any sense. Dee Dee likes using these paints on her minions' blades. Oh, and as soon as any player, NPC, or more intelligent minion can see the object, everyone who has seen it before or after painting suddenly can remember it. But not in an aha type manner, more of a, I suppose I do recall type. Only exception is Dee Dee. The V player herself and her smarter minions, which mentally are an extension of her mind, she can look without effect. She can remember, always. Rain. Not a clue what rain paint does. Its code is making calls to all kinds of things we can't identify, and nothing seems to actually do anything. It does still attract to blood and works with advanced space painting, but we can't find any function on its own. Rain ink is very limited. It can cause or cure mental illnesses, but not real ones, only game illnesses, like the touch of madness rain players can cause. Having tasted rain from both sides, I can see this feels different. Less refined, like I think the rain player is protected, and then protects their teammates from the others. When using the ink, we don't have that protection, and we can hear the others. We haven't gotten corruption yet, but I know that if we did, we wouldn't care while still under the effect of the rain ink. Oh, and writing the cure is far harder than writing the disease unless you know exactly what caused it. So if you want to cure something you wrote, take notes on how you told the game to inflict it. Best use of rain ink is probably getting the night syndrome sorted on your own time frame rather than waiting for your session to trigger it. Reminder, it hits pages harder than nights. Nights just talk about it more. Flow and rhyme. Not much here. Whatever temperature is around, the flow painted object is hotter, and the rhyme painted object is colder. The object isn't affected by the increase or decrease, but it is still affected by the surrounding temp causing it. As a knight of rhyme myself, I feel slighted here. Not sure why it feels personal. This isn't even my native aspect. Later, Protect and Void use these in some machines, but most players just use them to make heating and cooling. Mind. You can't forget this object. Once you know about it, you know until it or the paint is destroyed. Especially useful as ink, because you can write something and anyone who sees it remembers it perfectly. Need to remember a speech or song? Print it in mind ink and you won't forget. Carapacians and consorts. Write something in mind paint and show it to the simple-minded NPCs, and they will interpret the words the best they can and try to incorporate it into their behavior. You can get them to do a lot this way, but they are easily confused. Be careful leaving mind writing around. It can make them do some really weird stuff, and the only way to get them to stop is to destroy the writing or make them respawn, if you can. This is more like how our scribe uses the inks she makes from our aspects. She writes specific instructions for the aspect to follow. She tells me she has used this Carapacian on Carapacians and consorts in the past, but it's rarely been better than just writing something that happens directly. she's going to try giving us Mind Ink instruction documents. We can go to consorts whenever we need to. Or maybe write up clearance papers we can show to Carpacians. So they won't bar us from entry. Stage. While we've encountered stage effects, we don't actually have any... they do have a stage player now. That is untrue. One of our librarians had stage powers, and we managed to make a couple ounces of the essence, but it evaporated. Might only incident. At first, we didn't have access to our stage player to get the ink. But one of our librarians had stage powers. So what's it do? What does stage do? Stage is an offshoot of law. Constance rules enforcement stability. Go with the constance and stability concept. It tries to create homeostasis, balance, sameness. Basically, anything you meet with it will always have some sort of opposite based on whatever did it. Use a flame thrower. It gets cold. slam something into it. The something gets thrown back just as hard. Even natural flow of time causes it to grow younger. Game says it's trying to create homeostasis, balance, sameness. It doesn't really work out. Insult a computer with stage paint, and it will compliment you. Seed. Cha-cha-cha-chia. Cha-cha. I need an extra cha in there. Cha-cha-cha-chia. Some of our players insisted some of you will get that reference. They showed me the commercial. Nah. Seed paint does that, but much faster and more random. The roots exist, but aren't going into the painted item. It's like they are going into a plant dimension or something. We see that a lot with Time's seed powers. If you paint an area that already has plants as part of the terrain healing, then the paint will grow that type of plant. Otherwise, there seems to be some kind of random table it rolls on. That table has one flower on it that we can't find anywhere else in our session. We only get a part of its name, Sirius, and the rest is glitched. And it keeps vanishing a moment after anyone sees it. Even time stopping doesn't increase the time it takes to vanish. It has a slightly higher spawn rate in Hell and in the Magic Camp. I didn't know Seed was an aspect, but our Mage of Rage said she's a native Seed player. She's a big joker, and I can't tell if she was just playing along or being serious. Life. And this is where I started my editing today. So I think I already read through that. Yeah, rather limited. You have to fill it with your own health gel or food items, then you can tap into it to refill yours. There is some loss in this process. The object becomes super fragile too. If you drink from it, or pour it out, and it doesn't have any gel left, it will try to draw from any health touching the paint. So you just keep chugging your own health over and over at a loss. And then the false life thermoses, yeah. Doom. Okay, I can quickly run through edit. Formatting these. Then I will post it. Is candy corn two separate words? No, it is. Okay. Oh. Okay, yeah, that looks like it's ready for posting. Rich text. Um, Bombastic Ghast. And what was that one titled? sBrier Item Guide, Aspect Paints Inks for Scribes and their Friends. shares it with the community with her own commentary. I don't know if there's a capitalization difference. Yeah. Oh, right. It won't do it as a list. Read this if you want to live. They actually belong instead of up there. Okay, that looks good. General. Review. Yeah. You doing that formatting would help here. Oh, but this link did not. Okay. Edit. I'll have to add that directly to the code then. There we go. Don't want that extra space thing there, so remove the breaks. Oop. There we go. The way I want? Yeah, that looks good. Ooh, I want to actually add another little thing. It's just cuteness. Oh, my eye is hurting. Text down to the bottom. There we go. Yay! New post on AO3. Let's see. And I think we are gonna call it there for the day for our stream. So let's see who else is doing writing streams today. Manager. Let's see. Game of Tomes is going on. Streaming this Word document for a living, working on my music, sharing thoughts. World Anvil. Oh, Lady Winter. Looks like she's just started for the day. She's doing the World Anvil project, which is probably the Game of Tomes. Oh yeah, Game of Tomes, it says that. Adding the new novel, Steve. Maybe writing. Okay. It's Monday, time to start the week off with words, and every... Okay. Just chatting, stream raiders, writing, for the words. Let's Angel and Darkness. Take a listen.
That would be a little too mean.
Oh.
I don't mind Clippies as long as they continue directly right in the next chapter. Can you hear the music okay, or do I have it too low? I wasn't muted when I first started streaming.
I'm definitely leaning more towards Lady Winter. I think I'm already following. Yeah, I'm following Lady Winter, so. Let's go ahead and raid them. So, I'll wrap my stuff up today as... we're raiding real quick? No. Oh, that's minimum raid timer. Okay. I try to do my streaming Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, 3 p.m. Mountain Time. You can check my posted schedule. Oh, let's mute her music. Can check my posted schedule times for conversion to your local time zone. I will probably be doing games on Wednesday and Saturday this week. At least one of those I'm hoping to do Elden Ring. So let's head on over to Lady Winter. And have a good day.
All I can song from across the sea, hee-haw, are you most gone? Now Liza, will you marry me? Hear the track, let the bull giant run. Hey, Rick and Jig and Jones and Cara, hee-haw, are you most gone?